I never imagined a single evening could unravel my entire life, but when she called me pathetic, everything shattered. I was still holding the unlit candle in my hand when she called me pathetic. Not directly. Not with the clarity of someone who wants a fight that would have been easier. No. She said it like an afterthought, like she was brushing lint off her sleeve. Her exact words, "This is sad. Lel, you're sad." I hadn't even placed the candle on the cake yet. I'd just come out of the kitchen with it, holding it between two fingers like a tiny torch. The cake was store-bought off-center, lopsided like me, I guess. And still, I thought it might mean something. I was still holding the unlit candle in my hand when she called me pathetic. Not directly. Not with the clarity of someone who wants a fight that would have been easier. "No," she said, it like an afterthought, like she was brushing lint off her sleeve. Her exact words, "This is sad. Lel, you're sad." I hadn't even placed the candle on the cake yet. I'd just come out of the kitchen with it, holding it between two fingers like a tiny torch. The cake was store-bought off-center, lopsided like me, I guess. And still, I thought it might mean something. She didn't laugh when I made my awkward joke about being 1 year closer to irrelevance. She didn't even crack a smile when I pointed at the old playlist I'd compiled from our early dates, now playing through tiny Bluetooth speakers that stuttered every few seconds. Instead, she stood in the middle of the living room like it offended her, like I offended her. "You know, not everything has to be a whole show," she muttered, sliding off her heels with a groan. "You make everything feel like a funeral." And that's when it slipped out, her voice sharper, louder. "Jesus, you're exhausting." There it was. The curse wasn't in the word. It was in the tone. The way she said "you," like I was a cracked window she couldn't stand to look through anymore. I didn't say anything. I just stared at her. I'm good at that, being quiet while people trample me. It's my specialty, really. She must have noticed my shoulders drop because she suddenly exhaled like I'd made her tired. Then, with that same weary voice she uses when she misplaces her keys, she said, "I didn't mean it like that. I love you." I should have felt something. Relief? Anger? Gratitude? Instead, I stared at the melting wax on the candle that had never made it to the cake. One tiny bead of wax dropped onto the hardwood floor and hardened instantly, just like my heart. And here's where things twist. While I was quietly collecting the pieces of myself, she went upstairs. Not to cool off, not to apologize. She went to talk to someone else. She didn't know I followed her. She didn't see me standing by the bedroom door. And she definitely didn't hear the click when I pressed record. The story isn't about a birthday. It's about everything that came after. I stood there frozen in the hallway, one foot on the stair, the other halfway back toward the kitchen, my fingers shaking around the phone that had just captured her voice. I didn't plan to record anything. I'm not that kind of person. But something about the way she said "I love you" made my stomach twist, not from sweetness, but from familiarity, like she'd rehearsed it 100 times for someone else. She left her phone downstairs. Mine was in my back pocket. When she went upstairs without a glance back at the forgotten birthday setup, something pushed me, instinct, or maybe the years of ignored gut feelings stacked like dust I never wiped off. I followed, slow and quiet, and when I got close to the door, her voice wasn't just talking, it was different. Light, effortless, like I hadn't heard it in months. I tapped record and held my phone near the half-open bedroom door. "Yeah, he actually made a cake," she said with a laugh I hadn't heard in our house since I don't even remember. Lel and his sad little birthdays every year like clockwork. He even played our old playlist like that fixes anything. A pause, then softer, lower. No. He didn't suspect a thing. He just stood there looking like a kicked puppy. I could feel my chest folding in on itself. It was like standing outside in winter with no coat, no shirt, no skin. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just listened. "Tomorrow's good," she continued, her voice more private now. "He's got work in the morning. You can come by around 10 o'clock. I'll make sure he's out. Just use the side entrance. Same as last time." Same as last time. My hand jerked slightly. A creak in the floorboard betrayed me. She paused. "Hold on," she said sharply. I backed away like a thief who had stolen something he never wanted. I slipped back down the stairs before she opened the door. When she looked down, I was already walking toward the back door, pretending I was taking the trash out. I glanced back once and saw her watching me from the upstairs landing. Her eyes narrowed, measuring. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't confront her. I didn't cry. I sat in the laundry room with the lights off and played the recording on a loop, each word twisting deeper. Same as last time. Same as last time. Same as last time. I couldn't even ask what that meant. I already knew. It meant this wasn't her first betrayal. It meant my birthday was just a stage set to distract me from the play she'd already written behind my back. It meant the woman who once leaned her head against my chest and said I made her feel like home. She was lying. Even then. Or worse, she had meant it back then. And everything now was just by dawn. I had made a decision. I wouldn't blow up. I wouldn't scream. That's not me. That was never me. But I was going to stop being the guy who watched everything happen to him like a bystander in his own life. If she wanted to play a role in front of me, I'd let her. If she wanted me to believe she loved me, I'd nod and smile, because the next morning, I made a new recording not of her, of me. The sun crawled across the kitchen floor like it was too ashamed to rise. I hadn't moved from the laundry room. My legs were numb. My back ached, but I was still there, cross-legged on the cold tile, holding my phone like it contained the last shreds of my sanity. The audio file sat untouched for 2 hours. I couldn't bring myself to hit play again. I didn't need to. Every word was etched into my head like a scar, same as last time. At 6:40 a.m., I stood up, brushed lint off my shirt, and did something I never imagined I'd do. I opened the voice memo app, hit record, and started talking. I had no plan, no script, but the words came out anyway. "Hi," I said, staring at the wall like it was going to answer me. "I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to ask why. I don't think I'd believe you even if you told me. But you need to know something I've never said out loud. Maybe because I didn't want to admit it to myself." My voice cracked, and I paused, swallowed hard. Then I kept going. "I know you don't love me anymore. I think I've known for a long time. I just didn't want to believe that someone could stop loving me after all these years. After all the little things I tried to do right. I was never exciting, never flashy, but I tried to be safe, consistent. I thought maybe that would be enough. I thought maybe I was enough." The silence afterward was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. I stopped the recording. I didn't listen back, couldn't. I copied it onto an old USB stick, one of those tiny black ones I used in the office before cloud storage took over. I tucked it into a small padded envelope, wrote nothing on it, and slid it beneath the velvet lining in the top drawer of her jewelry chest. The same drawer where she kept her grandma's ring and a note from an ex she'd once told me she kept just for the poetry. Let her find this one too. I spent the rest of the morning pretending everything was normal. I made coffee, fed the dog, even kissed her cheek when she stumbled into the kitchen looking half awake and vaguely annoyed. "You're up early," she muttered, pouring almond milk into her glass like she hated it. "Yeah," I said, smiling faintly. "Didn't sleep well." She didn't ask why. At exactly 8:20, I grabbed my coat and keys. "I've got that early meeting. You'll be home all morning?" She hesitated a moment too long. "Yeah, just a few calls to catch up on, okay?" I said, stepping toward the door. "Have a good day." "You too," she replied, already looking at her phone. I left, but I didn't go far. I parked a block away, engine off, heart racing like I was robbing a bank instead of staking out my own house. At T9:58, a black SUV pulled into the side alley. I recognized the car before I saw the driver. I'd seen him once before at a hardware store 2 towns over, laughing too loudly near the paint samples with Helly by his side. They weren't holding hands, but the way she tilted her head at him, that was all I needed to remember. He walked through the gate like he'd done it before, confident, casual. I imagined him using the key I didn't know she had made. Or maybe she just left the door open for him. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't the first betrayal. It wasn't even the worst. The real betrayal was how easily she wore the mask, how effortlessly she could smile at me, curse me, kiss me, and carry on like nothing behind those eyes was wrong. And maybe it wasn't to her, but to me, it was the moment I knew the man I had been was gone. And what I did next wasn't revenge. It was survival. The SUV stayed parked in our driveway for over 2 hours. I know because I watched the shadows shift across the dashboard as I sat inside my car half a block away. Engine off, trying not to shake every time someone walked by. My fingers clutched my thermos like it was an anchor, but the coffee inside had long gone cold. My heart wasn't racing anymore. It was just quietly thumping like it had given up keeping pace with my thoughts. I didn't know what I expected. Maybe I thought I'd see them through a window, maybe slipping in through the back like in those gut-wrenching movie scenes. But no, he walked right up to our house like he belonged. That was what stung. The Most. He didn't even hesitate. I waited, watched. My phone buzzed once, a calendar alert I forgot to cancel. Lunch with noon. I stared at it for too long, then turned the screen off and stuffed it in the glove box like it was mocking me. At T12:11, the door opened. He came out first. Same smug look, same casual gait, like he had nothing to hide, like he just did something completely ordinary. He didn't even glance around. He just walked down the path, opened his car, and drove off like he had a dinner reservation to catch. She came out 2 minutes later, barefoot, hair tied up, holding a bowl of something, maybe leftover noodles. She stood on the porch and looked down the street for a moment, not in any particular direction. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd feel something, guilt, regret, some old shadow of a conscience. But she just turned and went back inside without a single glance my way. That night, I did something she never saw coming. I handed her a small wrap box over dinner. It was the same takeout we'd planned for my birthday. Cold Thai food I'd reheated just to keep up the illusion of normalcy. She looked at the box like it was ticking. "What's this?" she asked, picking at the bow. "Your gift," I said, calm, steady, belated. "Just wanted to say thanks." "Thanks for what?" she asked. "For staying," I said, despite everything. That threw her off. Her fingers froze on the ribbon. "Lol. What are you getting at?" "Open it," I said. Inside the box was the old silver bracelet I had given her on our 3rd anniversary. The one she claimed she lost during a hiking trip 3 years ago. She stared at it, then back at me. "You remember this?" I asked softly. She nodded slowly. "Where did you find it?" "I didn't. Not until recently," I replied. She stared at the bracelet, then back at me. "Why give it to me now?" "Because some things lost aren't really lost," I said. "They're just buried somewhere, waiting to be found." She shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "Lel, what do you mean?" I shrugged. "If we're going to pretend everything's fine, we should at least wear the part." There was a long pause. Then she forced a smile. "Okay, sure." She wore the bracelet the rest of the night like a shackle. Every time she moved her wrist, it made the faintest sound, a soft metallic reminder of something she'd thrown away and now couldn't escape. But she still didn't know what the real gift was. That came the next morning, when I handed her a manila envelope over breakfast. She opened it, eyebrows raised. Inside was a USB drive with a blank label. "What's this?" she asked. "Something I think you'll want to hear," I said. "But not now. Listen to it after I leave for work." She blinked, trying to read my face. I gave her nothing. Then I grabbed my coat and walked out the door. I didn't go to work that day. Instead, I waited for the moment she plugged in the USB and heard my voice telling her everything I knew. And waited for the moment the second file played, the one with her voice laughing, mocking, planning. She didn't call me, not once. Not even a single text. I watched the hours tick by from my car park to streets over, nervously glancing at my phone like it owed me an explanation. The plan wasn't to spy. The plan was to disappear slowly, without screaming, without chaos, just cleanly, with dignity. But something in me needed to know what she'd do when the truth finally sat in her hands. No longer hidden between cracks in the walls or stuffed into glove compartments. No more pretending. No more dinners where she stared past me like I was a stain on the tablecloth. I wanted to see her react, to hear the sound of the light collapsing. At T9:32 am, the house lights shifted. I knew the routine. She'd be done with her morning calls by then. The dog had already been let out. Her coffee would have been reheated once, forgotten, then left on the bathroom counter, and then she'd head to the bedroom. That's where her laptop lived, along with the old speaker she used when she couldn't focus without background noise. I waited. At 9:47, my phone buzzed, not a call from her, just a motion alert from the home security system I had access to. She was in the bedroom, standing by the desk, my hands clenched around the wheel. This was it. She plugged in the USB. It started with my voice, calm, unsure, trembling just a little. "Hi." "I know. I've known for a while. I didn't want to. I fought it. I made excuses for your moods, for your distance. I told myself you were just tired, that marriage goes through seasons, but I think we both know this isn't a season. This is who you've become." There was silence before the next part played. Click. Her voice now, clear, unfiltered, laced with cruelty she'd only shown behind closed doors. She thought I couldn't hear through walls. "He baked a cake like a child." I wanted to laugh in his face. "I just told Derek to wait until the morning so the idiot wouldn't suspect. Same as last time. You know, he still thinks I'm stressed about work." Click. Another clip. Shorter, more casual. "Don't worry. He'll be out. I've got him wrapped around my finger. He cries when I raise my voice. For God's sake, I closed my eyes in the car. I could feel the moment it hit her. I could picture her sitting rigid in the chair, her fingers tightening around the mouse or freezing mid-click, that bracelet I returned the night before. I imagined it burning on her wrist. The tiny chain she once discarded without a second thought, but now shackling her to everything she thought was hidden. I waited for the phone call, for the panic, for the screech of her voice coming through the speaker like a knife trying to slash its way out of the truth, but it didn't come at 10:22. She left the house alone. No bag, no jacket, not even her phone. She walked down the street slowly, like someone trying to remember how they ended up in the middle of their own wreckage. I watched from a distance. My heart should have hurt. It didn't, not because I didn't love her anymore, but because I realized how little she'd loved me for a long, long time. I went back to the house once she was gone. Not to confront her, not to yell or cry. I didn't want a confrontation. I just wanted closure, my own kind. I opened the door quietly, went to our room, and retrieved the printed copy of the text messages I'd pulled from her cloud backup. I left them on her pillow, just 2 pages, just enough. Then I left my key on the counter next to her cold coffee. The last thing I did before walking out for good was erase the playlist she used to love. The one I'd played on my birthday. The one she laughed at. I deleted every song except one. She'll know which one. And when she hears it again, maybe in a store, maybe in someone's car, it won't be a song anymore. It'll be a confession. By the time the sun dipped behind the trees that evening, painting the sky in diluted streaks of orange and pale violet, I had already checked into a roadside motel about an hour outside town. I didn't choose it for comfort. I chose it because it didn't ask questions. A sagging mattress, flickering lamp, and the hum of a vending machine outside my window were all I had, and honestly, all I wanted. Quiet was a luxury I hadn't realized I was missing until now. Silence wasn't cruel like her voice. Silence didn't lie. My phone sat face down on the bedside table. I hadn't turned it over in hours. The screen had lit up a few times with familiar vibrations, but I ignored them. I already knew who it was. Eventually, curiosity chipped away at my resolve. At 6:37 p.m., I flipped it over. 6 missed calls, 2 voicemails, 4 texts, all from her. The most recent message read, "Lel, please just answer me, please." I opened the rest in order. 11:03 a.m. What the hell is this? Why would you record me like that? 11:17 a.m. Okay, look, I get it. You're hurt, but this is not the way to handle it. 12:40 p.m. You don't know everything. You think you do, but you're wrong about so much. 2:12 p.m. We can talk, lol. Don't do something you'll regret, please. Regret. That word felt heavy in my throat. I was the one who had swallowed regret for years. Regret for staying silent. Regret for dismissing the signs. Regret for not walking away the first time she came home late and made me feel like I was paranoid for asking why. I didn't respond. She tried calling again around 7 o'clock. I declined the call. That's when the real message came. 7:03 p.m. I messed up. I know I did. But it didn't mean what you think it did. I was just lost. You made everything too quiet, too safe, and I didn't know how to breathe in that. But I still love you. I still want you. Can't we try again? Please. That's when I really understood her. That last line told me more than all the voicemails and texts combined. Too quiet. Too safe. She didn't want safe. She didn't want stillness. She wanted chaos with polished drama with a bow. To feel something loud, even if it meant torching. The one person who had stood beside her year after year, asking for nothing but respect. I sat with that realization in the dark. Outside, cars whispered by on the nearby highway, and the vending machine sputtered out a bag of stale chips to someone I'd never see. I opened my reply window, typed 2 words, then deleted them. I thought about all the things I could say, all the things I should say, but in the end, the best reply was the one she couldn't spin or twist or talk over. I opened the voice recorder on my phone, the same one I'd used days ago, and I spoke calmly as if I were reading her a bedtime story for the last time. Hi! I hope someday you understand what it means to break something that kept holding you even when it cracked. I hope when the silence comes for you, it isn't kind, and it doesn't whisper. I hope it sounds like my voice gone. Then I sent it. No text, no explanation, just a voice message. And then I blocked her. That was the last time I ever heard from her directly. But not the last time she tried. Because what she did next, what she sent to my work, to my mother, to the public told me this wasn't over. Not even close. By Friday morning, I thought the worst was behind me. I'd started to sleep for more than a couple hours at a time, though dreams still came jagged and strange, shadows of a home that didn't exist anymore. I was looking into a rental to towns over something modest and forgettable, just enough to start over without drawing attention. My phone stayed quiet. Her number remained blocked. My heart, still bruised, finally began to find its rhythm again until the email came. It was from our subject line: urgent personal matter escalation. My stomach dropped. I opened it with clammy fingers, reading each word twice, 3 times. Apparently, an anonymous email had been sent to several departments at my job. It claimed I had secretly recorded my wife without consent, that I was mentally unstable and possibly dangerous. The message was vague but peppered with just enough personal detail to look real. Someone had gone to a lot of effort to smear me, and I didn't need to guess who. She couldn't reach me, so she reached for what she thought I valued most, my reputation. But she didn't know what I'd done the night before I left the house, because the truth wasn't just something I whispered into a USB. I had backed up everything, every file, every voicemail, every recording. I had saved screenshots of her texts, voice messages, and even logs of her location sharing, where she clearly visited places she denied ever going. I didn't want to fight dirty. I really didn't. But I was done bleeding quietly. So I sent one email to HR, to legal, to my direct supervisor who knew me well enough to suspect the original smear campaign smelled like desperation. I attached a zip folder titled Statement of Record. Inside were 3 audio files, 5 screenshots, 1 short video of her bragging to someone, her friend Mariah. I think about how she could burn Lel down if he ever tried to leave first. I kept the email short. Hi. Attached is documentation relevant to the claims circulating. I don't want this to become more than it already is. I only ask for fair handling and privacy while this is reviewed. I'm grateful for your discretion. That same afternoon, I got a response from our. They had reviewed the materials. No further action would be taken against me. The initial claim had been flagged for inconsistencies. A formal apology would follow soon. Relief should have come instantly. Instead, it arrived slowly like sunlight cracking through heavy blinds. I didn't feel victorious, just tired, profoundly, deeply tired. That night, I sat in a laundromat because the motel washer was busted again. And while my clothes spun behind cloudy glass, I got a message from an unknown number. Just 5 words. You ruined me. You coward. No name. But I knew it was her. For a moment, I stared at it, blinking under the flickering fluorescent lights. Then, without thinking, I replied, You did that all on your own. I blocked the number when I stepped outside into the quiet, warm night. For the first time in what felt like years, I took a full breath. But I wasn't done yet because there was one last thing I had to do. I had to go back. Not to her, but to someone she never expected I'd visit. Someone who had secrets of their own. I didn't drive there right away. I sat in the parking lot of an old bookstore I used to love. It was still there. Dusty windows, flickering neon open sign. The smell of old paper drifting even through the car window. Funny how certain places don't change, even when everything else inside you does. When I finally pulled into Mariah's driveway, I wasn't sure if she'd slam the door in my face. They'd been best friends for over a decade. She used to joke that if we ever divorced, Mariah would pick her side before the ink dried. But here I was. When Mariah opened the door, I didn't expect what I saw. She looked tired, worn in a way she'd never let herself appear. No makeup, hair tied up. I smiled but wasn't surprised. I was wondering when you'd come, she said. I stood there awkwardly, unsure if I should say anything. Eventually, she stepped aside. Come in. I've got coffee. We sat at her kitchen table, the one where we once celebrated Hallie's promotion years ago. Now, it just felt like neutral ground. She's been unraveling, Mariah said, placing a mug in front of me. Telling everyone you're having a breakdown, saying you stalked her. But the people who know her really know her, can see through it. I didn't ask her to explain. I just waited. Then she sighed and said what I didn't know I still needed to hear. She's been cheating for almost 2 years. Not just Derek, there were others. I told her to stop. I begged her to leave you cleanly if she wanted out. But she liked the comfort too much, liked having someone at home who made her feel secure while she set everything on fire outside. I felt the words land not like a punch but like bricks being lifted off one by one. I'm sorry, Lel. I never said anything because I thought it wasn't my place. But watching her spin this whole story against you, I can't stay quiet anymore. You didn't deserve any of this. And you're not the coward. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, I felt something warm in my chest, not anger, not betrayal, but closure. I left Mariah's house with more than answers. I left with my dignity intact. My story had been twisted, dragged, bruised, but it wasn't destroyed because I had stayed calm. I had chosen the quiet path. I didn't burn anything down. And in doing that, I saved something she never could: my integrity. A month later, I signed a lease on a new apartment. Small, bright, with a view of trees instead of broken trust. I started running again, found a local coffee shop that remembered my name after 2 visits, and even made a few new friends at work once the drama faded into office folklore. As for her, last I heard, Derek dumped her. The job she once bragged about gone. Too many personal distractions, apparently. People stopped taking her side when the stories didn't add up. She sent one final message, emailed this time. You win. I hope you're happy. But this was never about winning. It was about reclaiming myself, my peace, my life. And yes, Mariah, I am happy now, because the man you tried to break didn't just survive. He walked away and never looked back.